All right, so Peter, we're going to start with you. And Peter and I work together at Keller Williams, and I am so excited to have him on the panel because even though I've sold a fair amount of real estate in the last few years, I'm this little neophyte compared to Peter because he's a rock star, basically. And he's got, you can bow, it's okay. He's got over 100 million in career real estate sales. That's a lot of stuff. And so he's sold a lot of properties, including a lot of condos. And so I just want to start with the basic idea of when you're starting to work with a client, and many of the clients that I work with that are in their 60s and 70s and even 50s, we all start with that idea of we're downsizing from a large family home that we probably raised our families in and determining what is the next step. Are we moving to a smaller home? Or does it make sense to possibly move to a condo? So when you start that conversation, tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Well, you pretty much explained all of it when you introduced yourself, so this may sound redundant. The first thing, after years of practice and professional experience and 40 years of marriage, I have found that the first thing I do is listen and find out what people think they're doing, what they think a condo is, and try not to anticipate informing them of something they already know. The basic premise of a condo, and this is important, is that it's your ownership. There's no difference between owning a condo and a home. The equity in that is yours entirely to do with as you wish. Buy or sell as you wish. When I ask people what they perceive is going to be the lifestyle, a couple of years ago, a national magazine did an interview, a bio on me. And after 3 hours of just laborious questions, I read the article and what she had gleaned from our conversation. She says, Peter realizes that buying and moving is an emotional experience. We make the numbers fit. So when you're thinking about downsizing, it's hard to understand condo living if you've never had one. And the irony is, it's a much simpler lifestyle. If you're looking to simplify your lifestyle, then a condo is a good choice. But you could do that in a small home. My wife and I bought a small home in Heritage Hill, and then our 2 adult children came back. But our choice was based on our lifestyle. My wife's a gardener, and we've always had German Shepherds. So a condo really didn't fit that. The thing about a condo is, the first thing is physicality. Primarily one-floor living. And if you live in a traditional household, not many traditional houses have bedrooms on the main floor, or even utilities, washers and dryers on the main floor. There are actually some condo developments in Grand Rapids that are no-step condos. Nowhere from your entry into the garage, to the house, to any room, to any utility, will you need to step up or down. Every morning I get up and step out of bed. When I wake up, I look up, I think I'm 25, and when I hit the ground, I know I'm not. So that is one of the aspects. Now, all condos, the floor plans are designed for you to not need other space. You can get other space. One of the traditional questions is, I want room for my children and their children to come so they can. And my internal thought is, wait till they're all here for 4 or 5 days. You won't be so happy you had that much room. When I came here in 1991, condos was a novel idea because the population was not used to them. They were used to larger living space. Less space does not mean less comfort or less utility. Actually, it means more utility, and in some cases, more comfort. There are condos in buildings. They look like apartments, but you own them. There are single freestanding condos, and a condo which you own the inside of a condo. Anything outside is tended to by the condo association, the bylaws. So anything you want to do inside is yours. Keep the shades down. So outside is maintained by the condo association's reserve fund. I built a development in Ada called Skyvale. Those were site condos. Those are, you own the lot, you own the house, you have complete control of the exterior and the interior of the house. What you share in common with the rest of the site owners is the maintenance of the grounds, the driveway, the lights, and all of that. Smaller homes are just smaller homes. If you lived in a house, you live in a smaller house. But it comes with the responsibility of you're insuring it, you're maintaining the outside, the insurance, everything that goes on, the work you need to maintain your house. If you're like us, we weren't ready for that yet. If you don't like, as Laura said, doing that kind of work, mowing your lawn, painting your house, whatever, then a condo's a good alternative. The association is responsible for everything outside, the siding, the roof, the driveway, and they come with variations of amenities that come in to the homeowners association dues, which contributes to the reserve fund. Now, we're going to get to qualifying for a mortgage, so I'll stop there.
So you pretty much answered questions 1 through 3. So thank you, we're good. And really, so that, so that's a big part of describing, they come in all shapes and sizes. And the main difference is that, you still own it just like a home, but you're not taking care of all of it. You're only taking care of a portion of it. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because it's definitely different when you're purchasing a condo in terms of potentially using a mortgage. So while many of the clients that I work with are at a stage of life where they can purchase a condo with cash, that is not always the case. And we do often see clients that use a mortgage, but it's different. So Peter, if you can talk a little bit about the difference in how someone might finance or the other things that they would want to think about when they finance a condo as opposed to a house.
One of the things, the primary thing is, can you get a mortgage? Not all condominium projects are warrantable. That means that they don't meet the criteria set by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So, and that usually comes under inability to meet certain standards that the government requires for condos to be mortgageable. Occupancy, reserve fund, do you have enough cash? Is there more than 15% of the people in the condominium behind on their dues? That would eliminate them from being warrantable. Now, warrantable means you're able to get a conventional mortgage, and all the increments that are required in a regular mortgage. The two differences: not only do you have to qualify, but the project has to qualify, and that's where the warrantable, non-warrantable come in. Now, if something's not warrantable, that doesn't mean you can't get a mortgage. We have a lender here, and in this environment, in this financial environment, there are lots of opportunities to get a non-traditional mortgage on a non-warrantable home. Usually they come out of portfolio loans by banks, which is their money that they take out of their self instead of getting government assistance in backing in their loans. The only difference is you will pay a higher rate mostly. And that is something you encounter when you buy your first car, when you buy your first home, your rates are usually higher. Does that mean, well, and that also comes with the cautionary tale that if the government won't support them, you need to keep that in mind. And that will come in question number 4. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I get reprimanded by Laura again.
Yeah, I guess I would kind of follow up on that and say that it's not necessarily, it could still be a very good quality condo association, but the qualifications for it being warrantable, you can also call that financeable or mortgageable, are simply different. So you might end up finding a condo association in the location that is perfect, that you totally love, that it does make sense to find alternative financing on, and there are certainly lenders that have the ability to lend on them. It's simply different than when you're shopping for a home where most every home will qualify for a standard conventional mortgage, as long as you qualify as a client. So it does get a little, you know what, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we're going to try and save all the questions for the end. Warrantable in the easiest sense means that you can obtain a standard mortgage on the property.
A conventional loan.
Yes.
Same kind of loan you would get on a house or anything. It means that the government is willing to finance the lender.
No. It's just not a term that would ever come into play when you are buying a house. It's something that's pretty specific to condos. Is that correct, Peter?
Yes, and you will encounter whether the reality of whether it's warrantable by your lender or your real estate agent. The minute you apply for a mortgage and you tell them what you're buying, they will do the background check to see if they're going to get financing to finance you. Mm-hmm. So, like most things, and Laura laid this out very well in the beginning, nobody knows everything. I am not going to make a life joke now. Nobody knows everything. And it's important that you have people helping you that are trustworthy and knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. A good realtor, a good lender, in some cases a good attorney. And if you utilize all of that, you minimize and probably eliminate any potential for making a bad legal decision or even a bad financial decision from that perspective, your own financial perspective, irregardless.
One of the big things that I find with real estate transactions is that every single stage builds on the next stage. So it's kind of that question of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. We can't really determine if a place is warrantable. It doesn't make sense for us to dig into those details if we don't even know if a client likes that location. So we always start with a very wide net, determining, let's start looking at condos. Let's see what you even like and what areas you like and what associations you like. And at that point, when you start to narrow that down, then we determine of those associations that you like, does that match with the way that you need to purchase this condo? Are you going to purchase with cash? Do you need to use financing? If so, what type of financing? And, that's where a lot of the work comes in, and that's where, like Peter said, not every realtor and every lender are just going to have the same level of knowledge in digging into those details. And a lender or a realtor that might do a great job working for a first-time buyer, helping them buy a little house, is not going to necessarily be the best choice for something that's more complicated, that truly requires these additional questions that could come back to bite you if for some reason they're not asked and they come out later.
Yeah, that was part of the first question. When I ask people, what are they looking for? What are they thinking? Some people want to live close to an urban area, some people don't. Some people need extensive landscaping, some don't. Some need condo community amenities, some people don't. And there are different fees for utilities. Some people will take care of their own garbage. If you live by yourself, you might want to pay for that yourself. Utilities, the same thing. So as people explain to you how they live and how they want to continue to live, you try and match that up. I always say I can find you a condo or a house. I just can't, I don't know where you want to live. Some people go and drive down the block next to a gas station. Some people want to drive down into a tree-lined street to have that feeling, I'm coming home and I'm glad I'm here.
So Peter, have you ever helped someone move into a condo who then hated it?
I didn't like that question.
No. This has got nothing to do with your real estate talent, but I'm just curious because I think that sometimes we have clients that think they're moving, that have these preconceived notions, and then we might help them get what they've told us they want, and then they turn back and they don't like it for some reason. So
yeah. Well, let me just set the premise that people buy houses they don't like. The National Builders Association does a study every 5 years, and they find that 94% of people who build houses wouldn't build the same house. That's because your needs change, and your ideas change about how you want to live. There's an expression, and don't take it personally, buyers are liars. And what it is that you're limited to your own experience. If you've never lived in a ranch, it's not a conception to you. And then you walk into a ranch and you say, you have your realtor looking at 62-story houses, and by accident they walk into a ranch and they turn around and they say, this is it. Well, the same thing about condos. What you think is based on your experience. You can't think anything else. You're completely subjective. So I did have, I've had one or two people, or more, who have moved in and found out they were rigid in their preconceptions. They were not open to experimenting. I used to teach a bias class, and I would ask them, what's your objective? And they would give me all kinds of answers. And I would say, your objective is to eliminate buyer's remorse. What you want to do is make sure they are as informed and are capable of understanding their own thinking and what you're saying. They often don't correlate. But most of the time, people get in and they feel constricted. They realize that they can't do as much gardening as they want. They realize there isn't as much community, or there's too much community. So you have to have that experience. I only dated one woman in my life, my wife, so I don't know about other women. But until you try other experiences, you don't know how you feel. You try other flavors, you don't know how you feel. My wife's laughing, thank God. So that's and it's not because they didn't like something particular. It's this general change. We're resistant to change by nature, and it's to change. I tell people, if you give it a little time, you'll find the things that are irritating you now will probably dissipate.
Yeah, I guess I would add the same thing for those that move into a senior community of any kind. Anytime you're moving out of a home, even if you read through a lot of the senior community documents, they'll, talk about the idea of don't make any big decisions until you've been here for 90 or 120 days, because they want you to give yourself time to get acclimated to your new place, to make friends, to form community, to really determine, what it is you like and what you might not like.
That's a good point. Condominium complexes are not populated by baby boomers. There are a lot of young people in them. They find it more efficient to live that way, understandably. There are a lot of working couples that live there. Now, there is a thing called blue zones. I don't know if you know about them, but there are areas in the country and in the world where people as a group live longer. And they evaluated the criteria that gave them that longevity. And one of them was, a key one, was socialization. In a condominium complex, you're more than likely to find a different level of ages, professions, experience, ethnicities, and taste. So that variety is what they're talking about in blue zones that keep you socialized, that keep you alert. Condominiums are not old age homes. That's a terrible term, right?
We don't use that term anymore, Peter.
All right.
It's very unpolitically correct.
Well, I'm a baby boomer, and I forgot that. I tell people, don't expect me to remember your name. I don't remember where I parked. But that's important to know. If you don't want to step out your door and look like everybody looks the same, you won't, primarily. You won't. And it's a good thing. Neighbors help neighbors.
I love having neighbors personally. My husband, on the other hand, wants to move us out on 10 acres, so we'll see when that happens. We've got another year. So we're going to talk for just a second about association documents, because one of the things when you're buying into a condo, they have what's called bylaws and other association documents, and often they're easily over 100 pages or more of very detailed, often, legalese. And so, Peter, I just wanted to ask you, when you are working with a client to buy a condo, do you generally read through all of those exciting bylaws for them and try and specifically point out things that might be, that you would want to make sure that they know, or do you let the client themselves read through all those pages and determine what is most concerning?
The way you couch that question, it makes it hard for me to answer yes. You said all those pages. Well, I've created bylaws and documents. And at this point, I realize what's important. In the bylaws and regulations, I call them responsibilities. I don't like the term regulations. I don't like discipline. Many of them are blue plate. They're building plans, they're typical municipal requirements, the things that you might, and you get a time period. When you write a purchase agreement, you'll have the opportunity to make it a contingency on your approval of the bylaws, 72, 100 hours, whatever it is you think you want. In conjunction with people, I ask everybody to read them. And it's good sleeping material sometimes, but I ask everybody to read them because what you hear is not always what you read. And sometimes you'll see something and you'll say, well, he didn't say that, and I did. Well, I'll swear I did. But the thing is, everything is always your responsibility. That's the way I grew up. Don't blame somebody else for something unless they really set out to cheat or misdirect you. That's why, again, it's critical to have a good lender and a good realtor. Now, once you've gone through it, this is something, and the things you're looking for are the reserve fund, assessments that are come due. Sometimes they approve it at the board and it doesn't show up in the documents. And all of a sudden you realize you've got a $5,000 assessment when you're moving in. If you know that prior to it, you can negotiate it with the current seller. I also, if they'll allow you, sometimes homeowners association meetings are open to potential buyers. Go to a meeting. Talk to neighbors. Knock on the door. You have cautionary tale. The door you knock on might be a cranky person, and you move on and find somebody who's going to give you a legitimate answer. But a good realtor should know what to look for in the bylaws. He should encourage you to read them. She should encourage you to read them. And you should have your lender take a look at them also.
Awesome. Yeah, very, very good practices.